Well, hey guys, how's it going? I just figured I'd come to you guys today. It's nice and early, at least in the morning for me. I actually just got up a little bit ago, and I just randomly got this notification that probably one of my favorite Linux distributions to actually run just got a new release, and I'm gonna surprise you guys and tell you right now that's actually Red Hat Linux. That is actually one of my favorites. And I just figured, you know what? My Gen 2 installation broke again. So at this point, I think I'm just done running Gen 2 on my desktop machine because it seems like every single installation that I make for Gen 2 just seems to just break on me, right? So I had this thought cross my mind as soon as I read this news article. What happens if we install Red Hat Linux on our desktop and daily drive it? And ultimately, like, I assume that this is going to be a pretty boring operating system, like if I actually get it up and working. But I'll be honest with you guys, if you're a distro hopper, you're going to get bored eventually of distro hopping. So I just figured, if anything, if Red Hat works perfectly fine, then it's just going to be another Linux distribution to me on like my daily use case. But anyways, I want to talk about like why it's one of my favorite Linux distributions, and that's just because Red Hat, the company, produces a lot of upstream commitments to a majority of like the super large Linux projects. So I'm talking about like the kernel itself as well as Xorg. They're putting a lot of effort into Wayland. The majority of the GNOME developers actually are Red Hat employees or have some kind of Red Hat affiliation. They sponsor one of my favorite Linux distributions, Fedora. In fact, they are the primary sponsor for that entire distribution, to the point where I think they even serve most of their infrastructure. And of course, my phone's going to buzz at the same time while I'm recording this. But anyways, I just figured I'd just install this thing on my hardware. And let's just go ahead and take a look here. I've got the wallpaper set up here. Well, this is the standard wallpaper, and it's this beautiful 3D looking 9. Which for Red Hat 8, if you installed it on the desktop, it would have the number 8. Red Hat does use release names still, and let me pull up a quick Neo fetch here. The release name for this is Plow. Very creative, Red Hat. Very creative. But anyways, this Red Hat release is using GNOME 40, so it's relatively modern GNOME. It's not 42 or 41, which makes sense because this is downstream from CentOS Stream, which I don't even think they're on 41 right now. But now that the RHEL 9 hit release, there's a chance that they might. But I've got it activated under the free developer subscription, which means that I get security and I get the security updates from Red Hat themselves, and I've actually got Flatpaks enabled as well. So if I pull up GNOME software, and let's just go into repositories. You can see that I've got FlatHub enabled, and then it's GNOME software, so it's going to tie directly into DNF as well. And Red Hat's just got like a metric ass ton of repositories. So I'm not lacking in like repository options here, but at the same time, these are also Red Hat repositories, so this is all enterprise grade software, pretty much. And then, like one thing that Red Hat does provide is it gives me access to the Cockpit interface, which the Cockpit interface itself saves me a lot of time digging through a bunch of configuration files to set up things. Like, say, if I want to set up a Samba share, right here, I can just set up a Samba and just a couple things here. I can set up log levels. I can set up the share itself just by clicking the plus button, pointing it at the appropriate place, and then just setting users and such, and then hit share, and then it's good to go. I can even spin up an NFS share if I decide I was going to start the NFS server, which I haven't, because this is the desktop machine. What do I need to run an NFS server on my desktop machine for? But it's there if I want it, and then I can pull in Podman containers. I can run them and manage them from here as well. So like if you've used like server distributions before, like say Proxmox, this is an interface much like it. Lighted. It's not like as feature complete as like the Proxmox GUI, or like some of the more NAS based distributions like TrueNAS and such. But what they give you a lot of in-depth control over. Like let's just say I want to manage my network device here. I can set basically as many DNS servers as I want. There is no hard limitation or anything. DNS search domains, I can just add a bunch of those as well, and so on. If I want to like configure it manually, it just lets me type stuff in, and I can turn it off. I can turn it back on. Why would I want to turn off my internet right now on the desktop machine? I don't know. But I can look over the system logs, and I can filter it. And we can, if I, what, we should probably enable libvirt. So let me pull up terminal real quick. There. So now that's started. So I just refreshed the page, and now I can spin up a virtual machine. So let's create a virtual machine. Let's just say I want to run Debian. We can download it and then just type in Debian, create new volume, size. Well, I think we want 20 gigs for Debian. And then what? I just don't even want to look at it. So let's just set this server root password, user login Joshua, and then give him a password. And then hit start, and it's going to download Debian in the background and install it when, it's not failing. But, like, if I get the network set up here, so if I just go over here, create a virtual network, VirtNet, forwarding mode, that's fine. I think that should work, just click that anyway. Yep, that's fine. Okay, so then we activate this network, go over here, and now we can create a virtual machine. So let's just do Debian again. Debian, yep. And just just type it in there. Of course I failed again. Let's see. Okay, let's run the suggested terminal command. Oh, okay. Well, you know, like, I'll probably figure out what's going on with that later. But, you know, it's just like, if, like, I have the network set up properly here, then it should just theoretically work. You know, I can also just go in here, I can create accounts. I can manage my systemd services from this, too. And I can filter by full system and user level services. If I go over here to timers, I can create systemd timers, which are basically just like an systemd's equivalent to cron jobs, and in fact, they actually work just a little bit more how I would prefer it. It's just that if you've ever set up a systemd timer manually before, you understand why this is actually groundbreaking, because realistically, these are the three things that you need. So let's just say I want to run a backup job. This is my backup. And then, you know, I can just run rsync to, let's make it recursive, give it an archive, make it, well, we don't really need a verbose, but, you know, I would like to checksum it. Let's just back up my home directory. And let's just send it off to my local NAS. And then, you know what? Its data shares are mounted on serve data backups. And then I want it to save into the desktop folder. When, you know, I save desktop appropriately. And let's just repeat this every single day. And then let's just run it at 6 in the morning, right? And then, you know, like, we can add multiple times too. But, you know, this is just a daily backup, right? So let's just create it. And there it is. And it's off and it's running right now. You know, you set it up to run and it just immediately runs. And it's just going to work here in the background. And you can see that it's already set up the requirements, the 1 to the conflicts, the before and the after. Now the question is, I set this up as a root service, and of course, my server's going to sit there and go like, hey man, I see that you're trying to SSH in because, you know, you're talking to me over rsync. So I need like authorization, and, you know, I don't have my SSH keys set up with the root with via root. So we're just gonna turn this off. And, you know, it's just going to stop it for us. But, you know, it's just cool that it's there. So, you know, if I just go back, and it's just going to sit there. I disabled it. We can delete it later. But, you know, if I just go over here and I just do the same thing over here, and then I just create the timer, it should just work, right? At least I would think so. And then, of course, like, this is a Cockpit session, so, you know, I can just go in here and I can record all the sessions I want, and that'll record all the terminal commands that the Cockpit forwards to the system and all that. And, you know, it's pretty cool. I can manage system updates through this, and I can even manage SE Linux through this as well. Which, love it or hate it, but SE Linux is actually a pretty damn awesome tool. Like, I've watched it save companies billions of dollars in damages before. But, you know, it's a pretty darn cool tool. And, you know, the only thing that's a little troublesome about Red Hat is that you have to enable like additional repositories to get like basic tools. Like you saw me pull up NeoFetch earlier. Well, HTOP's not even in the standard repositories. So if you want to install anything like HTOP, tmux, NeoFetch, and stuff like that, what you need to do is you need to enable a repository called EPEL. And what EPEL is is EPL stands for Extra Packages for Enterprise Linux, and it's actually created by the Fedora team, which Fedora is essentially upstream Red Hat. So it's just like you just get this set up, and if you're using a desktop installation, you just go over here and you just click the button, and what it'll do is it'll forward this off to GNOME software, and then you can just install it, and then the repository is set up. It's that easy. And then it does ship with Flatpak, so you can just go to flathub.org, go here to the quick setup. Well, right here's a little red hat, so of course FlatHub seems to be having some issues. It does tell you to install Flatpak. Well, Flatpak's already on here, so you just click the repository file, and then once again it just prompts you to launch GNOME software, which GNOME software in this release is like it's actually not as bad as it has been. Like it's actually a bit faster compared to how it used to be, because it used to be like I would go in here, I would hit the install button, and it would take Steam like 10 plus minutes to install, and you can see it's already done. Like I can go in here and I can launch Steam. Which this is Red Hat, so of course might need to work on some workarounds, if we wanted to use anything like a game controller. But it's Steam. Like, of course, I've got the updater tool running for Steam. But if this is running and it's updating Steam, that means that Steam's working. And then it's just like if I want Discord, just go in here and install it, and you can see that I'm pulling the stuff in from FlatHub, so I'm pulling in the Flatpaks. What about an RPM? Is there? Let's just see. Is GIMP available? It doesn't seem to be. So Kden Live maybe? No. Well, let's just go over here and tell it to refresh real quick, because I know that Kden Live and GIMP are both available as Flatpaks. And of course, Steam's launched asking me to log in. But we just tell it to refresh, and this part here is still on the slow side. But it's a GUI tool, and of course, it's never going to be nearly as fast as a more proper command line tool. Which it's Linux. We have access to these things called terminals. So if I just do flatpak install, like I'm going to need Kden Live anyway, so let's just install Kden Live, right? Just hit enter a couple times like we're not supposed to, and it's installing. And then of course it's Red Hat, so our package manager of choice is going to be DNF. That said, I know like on other Linux distributions, you can call the package manager without root and you can search your repositories. This is Red Hat. The only one that has access to remote repositories is actually going to be the root account. So like I can't just call a DNF search Firefox and have it enjoy what I told it. But you can see here, I'm not root. So the subscription management repositories are not going to be updated. What that means is that on some packages, I'm not going to be able to see them at all if, I'm not calling this as sudo. So now that I call it without sudo, I'm just looking at Firefox. But like, say if I wanted to look at like Docker or well, let's look at Podman here. Is Podman available? Okay, yep, there's Podman. Can I see Podman if I'm not running root? Okay, well yeah, it does show up. But what that's telling me is that I won't be able to query for updates if like actually I really don't know, but so it's just like it gets kind of finicky about the package manager sometimes, but ultimately it is working. But we're just gonna see how long like I can run like this. I'm going to stick to Wayland, and I think they're using Pipewire. Let's see. Just run a quick systemctl status for Pipewire. Looks like it's not found. But if I give it the user flag, which means that I can see that Pipewire is active and it is running. So Pipewire is the default sound server in even Red Hat now. So that's pretty cool. Which means that, if I pull up, of course, GNOME software again, and I look up Helvum, right there is a patch bay. So I just install that, and now I can send my audio wherever I want with this, because, it's a patch bay. You just take the wires and put them wherever you want. But, it looks like GNOME software is actually working now, which, it's always nice that when things work. So let's see, let's go back to what we were trying to do earlier. Let's just see if we can find like an RPM package. Chromium maybe? No. Here we go, files. Right there's an RPM, so it's just like you do see RPMs show up. And the big thing is that the Red Hat repositories don't really have a lot of packages. So just do a sudo dnf list asterisk. Pipe that into word count tac l. Oh, okay, that's just not going to list anything because, apparently DNF doesn't support file globbing like app does. Which, but, the big thing is that the Red Hat's repositories are actually tiny, which is why you need to enable these third-party repositories. But, you can, if you don't want to go the Flatpak route with Red Hat, you can enable RPM Fusion, which does have a dependency on the EPEL repository. So you need to enable EPEL repository before you enable RPM Fusion, which those two repositories is basically going to give you about 99% of everything you need. And everything after that, you need to probably consider compiling from source. Because, those are really realistically the only two repositories I trust to enable on an RPM system. But of course, like I said, there's Flatpaks. They're available. If you don't like Flatpaks, well then what the heck are you even running Red Hat for? Because, Red Hat is convinced that Flatpaks and Podman are the future, so we're going to be stuck with them whether we like them or not if we're running these RPM distributions. But anyways, guys, that's my little 25 to 30 minute rant. But anyways, if you would like to catch my videos, in the future, and like say you don't want to go through like the hellhole that is YouTube, of which I'm giving YouTube a bit of a bit of like a shaft here. YouTube, I only release Thursdays at 2 p.m. But I have an Odyssey or library channel as well, and a PeerTube instance that I post to. Both of those, the videos are published as soon as I upload them. Not kidding. I'm not locking any early content behind a paywall ever, because anything I create will never be put behind a paywall, because that is just how I choose for my content to be, and that's going to be my value to you as the viewer. So anyways, guys, I've got that. I've even got an Amazon wish list linked in the comments, and that's just because I want some books. I imagine that you guys like books too. I also like books, so buy me some books. And if you buy me enough books, maybe consider buying me the bookshelf too, because I got those shelves behind me and they're kind of getting full. But anyways, guys, I'm out.